Today we are going to talk about how to make stew, more specifically lamb papaya leaf stew, but the same rules apply for pretty much any kind of stew. The way to make stew is very simple. So what I do, I chop up, so let me start from here. I chop up about 3 carrots, real thin, parsley, I chop up parsley, cilantro, about 6 or 8 cloves of garlic. Let me zoom in so you can see. All right, so you chop them up or real thin. Then about 2 onions, mushrooms. The white thing is jicama. Why jicama? Because I have it in my vegetable garden. It produced quite well during the summer here in Florida, and I just harvested jicamas. They can stay in the ground for quite a while. Let me just show you how jicama looks like. This is jicama. It is a tropical plant similar to radishes, and it's very soft. You can peel it and chop it up just like radishes. So I put two small jicamas. Then I have sliced up lamb and papaya leaf, blanched papaya leaf, and I'm using sunflower oil as the base. So the way to make stew is you put some oil in a big pot, wait until it boils or starts heating up, and then you start adding your ingredients. You add cilantro, parsley, carrots, onions, garlic. You keep adding one by one and stirring. Okay, so let me show you how to do that. Right, so I added finely sliced ingredients into a large pot with sunflower oil. All right, so now I'm stirring. So you don't add meat yet. The idea is to allow your herbs and onions to basically to cook slowly, to release liquids and essential oils before you start adding meat. Okay. So what I also do here, I add some molokia spice, dry molokia. You can get molokia in any Middle Eastern store. It is very tropical plant. It grows in the summer here in Florida. So you can pick leaves and dehydrate them. Very healthy plant. All right, so we're gonna leave this now for a little bit and cover it for a few minutes, okay? All right, so now we're going to check to see what's going on. 3 minutes passed. All right, it looks good, very good. We are going to add a spoon of Himalayan salt. Himalayan salt. Then stir. Very good. As you can see, it's looking really good. Now we are getting ready to add lamb. All right, finely chopped lamb. I am using cast iron pot because it retains heat very well. It it cooks meal very well. It is easy to clean. It lasts forever. It is absolutely the best. The only downside is that it's a little bit heavy. Cast iron pots and pans are usually heavy. Okay, we added lamb, salt, all of the herbs, onions, carrots, jicama, and now we're going to let this cook for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to check again. All right, now we're going to see what's going on with lamb. It is looking really good. Very good. I forgot to mention that I also added habanero, 1 habanero. If you like spicy, you can add cayenne pepper or any other hot pepper that you might like. I like spicy food, so I always add at least 1 habanero. All right, it's looking really good. Excellent. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to mix green papaya leaf with lamb and herbs. So this is a little bit awkward because I'm using one hand to hold the camera and another one to cook with, so excuse me for a little bit awkward shots. Now I am mixing green papaya leaf with lamb, and then you cover it and let it sift for well, a couple of minutes. Papaya leaf is by its nature bitter. It doesn't have any specific taste except bitterness, but I like bitter food. I like bitter melon also, or collards of all kinds, so I enjoy greens. So you mix it really well. So I'm doing this with one hand. You usually, it's recommended to hold the pot in your other hand. Okay, so we're gonna leave this like that for a couple of minutes. Right, and then we'll be back. All right, so now we are going to add some boiling water that we warmed up in the teapot. But before that, I realized that I had leftover cabbage that I used for salad. It's a little bit of cabbage that was left in my fridge, and I didn't want it to go to waste, so I chopped it up, and I'm going to add that to the pot as well. So this part is the part of the cabbage around the root, which is perfect for stew. It's a little bit awkward if you want to grate it for salad, but it's perfect for cooking. So I'm gonna stir finely sliced cabbage with what we already have in the pot. Okay, that looks good. And now what I do is add some boiling water for my teapot. Excellent. So that way you are not shocking your meal by adding cold water. You are simply continuing your cooking process by adding already boiled water to your pot. And now we are going to let this cook for, let's say, about 15-20 minutes or so on low. And what I also do, but you know, it's up to you, I like to add a couple of potatoes. So I have 3 finely sliced potatoes that I usually put at the end, and I cook them with whatever is in the stew. And the reason behind potatoes is because potatoes add somewhat solidified consistency. They make your meal, your stew, a little bit firmer. You know, it's like add starch to your stew, which, you know, you can do it, you don't have to do it. I mean, it's basically all a matter of preference. Okay, so I'm gonna let this cook now for a bit. Now, as far as the quantity of liquid goes, it is really up to you. If you like to have more of a soup consistency, you can add more water. If you like more thicker consistency, then you know, you add less water. So it's all about how you prefer to eat your stews. Okay, now we're going to let that cook on low for about 15-20 minutes. You can leave it like that and just go do your other chores. And at the end, I'm going to add tomato sauce, but it is still early for that. This is the brand of tomato sauce that I like to use in my stew. It is organic strained tomatoes by Bio Naturae, whatever the pronunciation is. And the main thing you have to remember is no salt added. I do not like to use tomato sauce with salt, and the reason for that is simply that, if you know, because I use a Himalayan salt in my stew, I don't like to have more salt than what I want to have in my stew. So if you know, it's like if you add more tomato sauce that's salted, your stew is just going to be ridiculously salty. And I get this in Whole Foods or local other organic stores, but usually this brand I found in several organic supermarkets. I really like this brand. It is absolutely perfect for cooking, and I add about a quarter to a stew. So at the end, once let's say like 10 minutes before the stew is finished, I will add about a quarter of tomato sauce to get a firm consistency. And tomato also adds like a, you know, specific taste that it just tastes right. You know, if you have fresh tomatoes, you can add a lot, like several fresh tomatoes instead of tomato sauce. So it's, you know, it's really up to you. So That's the brand. Alright, so about 15 minutes have passed and now we are going to add tomato sauce. Alright, so once you add tomato sauce, you let it cook for another about like 15 minutes or so. You'll see when it reaches certain consistency. Let's see how the stew is looking after we added tomato sauce, and it's looking really good. So I'm going to leave it on low like this for another 15 minutes. And then I'm gonna put it on the side, cover it, and you know, let it just slowly cool off for a couple of hours. The reason behind cooking stew on low for a long time is because you want to give your vegetables chance to leach oils, minerals, vitamins into your into the liquid. Because what's the point of eating stew? What's the logic behind stew? Stew is the healthiest meal you can eat. The reason behind me saying that is because, think about it. You get hydrated because it has a lot of liquid in it. And not only liquid, but it also contains loads of minerals, vitamins, essential oils from herbs that you added, from vegetables that you added. So when you eat a meal with a spoon, like stew or soup, these are the healthiest meals you can eat. It is, think about it as drinking tea, herbal tea with very healthy herbs, but we'd also added protein, different meat. And we all know that meat also contains many minerals and many vitamins. So when you eat stew, you are getting a full circle of vitamins, minerals, healing herbs. Absolutely everything that your body might need. This is absolutely the healthiest meal you can serve to your family. There's basically really nothing like it. I traveled through China, and they eat a lot of soups, and they swear into those soups. They think that soup is the healthiest meal in the world. So soup, stew, call it any way you want, it is really the healthiest meal in the world. You cannot go wrong with stew. And another reason why people make stew, why stew? Stew is a meal for poor people. The people like who lived in poor countries or poor areas, who would just walk out of their house, pick a bunch of wild edibles, different greens that they found growing in the nature around their house, and they would bring them home, chop them up, put them in water, boil them, add a piece of meat, a little bit of meat, not a lot, and you get a big pot of stew, big pot that you can serve to your family, no matter how big your family is. So it is the most efficient, the healthiest, pretty much the best way to eat. And one thing that is guaranteed, you are never going to get fat eating stews, because they contain a lot of fiber. They contain everything that you need to function, for your body to function. And you're not going to have a need to eat a lot, because stew is very nutritious. It gives you everything you can possibly need in your daily diet. And also, if you add some wild edibles or things that grow on their own in nature around where you live, those are usually full of essential oils, like healing herbs, minerals, vitamins, because those plants have a lot of vital energy in them. So when you add them to your meals, they heal you from inside out. So stew is the ultimate meal that you can make for you, you know, in your family. So think about it that way, you know, think about stew as the ultimate healing philosophy that you can make for you know, for food. So that's why I wanted to show you guys how to make stew. Now the things that I put in stew, you don't have to put. You can just walk you know, walk out of your house, pick some wild edibles, pick whatever you have in the garden. You can put whatever, anything you like. Add a little bit of meat. You can add beef, you can add pork. You know, I like lamb, so I put lamb. You can add chicken. You don't have to be limited. You know, the only thing that fish might not be the greatest idea, because fish, in my opinion, is the best for soups. But yeah, this is definitely the, you know, the most cost-effective way to feed your family, and you know, they are going to be very healthy, because first of all, they're not going to eat too much. You know, too much meat, so you're going to save a lot of money on buying meat, because you don't need ridiculous amounts of meat in your stews. You can put whatever grows around you. You can put what you like. I put what grows around me because I live in Florida, and this is where jicama and papaya leaf and molokia and, you know, habaneros grow. So I put what grows around me, you know, during the time of the year when I'm, you know, making stew. So I just walk into my garden and pick whatever I find. Or sometimes I just, you know, walk around and see some wild edibles like Spanish needles, or you know, pellitory here in Florida, and just chop them up, add them to stews. I mean, dandelion is a wonderful weed, which is extremely nutritious. So that way, you get the best of the best that nature provides, and the best possible meal. So my final words are how to serve it. You can serve stew, you know, in the deep plate, and serve it with bread. I like to eat my stew with bread. It's just because I come from a culture that eats a lot of bread. We bake our own bread with kamut and spelt flour. So we eat ridiculous amounts of bread, you know, but it's the bread that we like. We don't put sugar in our bread. But you don't have to. You can eat it without bread or eat it with whatever you like. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions about stew, if you are curious about anything else, just, you know, feel free to leave your question in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. All right, you guys, bon appetit.